So I saw the new Mission Impossible movie, The Final Reckoning. Tom Cruise's last attempt to kill himself. And I enjoyed it, but I was a little disappointed because this level of like insanity that Tom Cruise has pretty much made the standard for himself just wasn't enough for me, unfortunately, because we've seen a couple of his like stunts now several times, and this one specifically kind of repeats a couple of the ones. I'm like, oh, I saw this one in Fallout, or he did this in Ghost Protocol, or something. Actually, I don't think that's the one, but he does a couple of the same stunts because he's already good at like holding his breath and then holding onto like a plane. So I mean, it still looks crazy and very realistic, which is what you want. But you're sitting there like, well, Tom, come on, I've seen this already, and uh, this is an almost 3 hour movie, which at some point I did kind of feel like we need to be done, please. I enjoyed seeing Trammell Tillman, who is the gentleman from Severance, and there's this another woman who plays the nun from Game of Thrones, who I was like, oh hey, look, you look normal in real life. She sets a level of like realism that I kind of enjoyed. Like same with Trammell Tillman. There was like a level of like these guys are what army people kind of should be, or like I expect them to be. But it kind of went in the same circle, right? Like Ethan Hunt comes up, be like, "I need you to do this crazy thing," and they're like, "I can't do this crazy thing. What if I showed you this object that I've been given?" And they're like, what? Oh, okay, this guy's got to be the real thing. And so then it just goes on from there. But you need movie, so that's movie. And I enjoyed seeing Trammell Tillman. Like I said, he was good and he was perfect for the role. Nick Offerman was just like a random general, and that was funny because I was just like, "Oh hey, it's Nick Offerman. There he is. Look who we're paying for." But what disappointed me was they didn't like. I thought this would be like Endgame, like just a shitload of like people coming back. I wanted to see Jeremy Renner. I kind of was down to see like Tandy Newton, who is the girl from Mission Impossible 2. There's just so many people they could have brought back. Dude, it would have been so funny if they brought back like Emilio Estevez, but they made a point in the beginning of the movie to like go over all of the Mission Impossibles pretty much, like give you little clips of it, and they even show Emilio taking that to the face, so that was fun. But it also lets you, if you haven't seen Dead Reckoning, you could just be like, oh, here you go, and you're caught up. So this gave me the real feel, like the way Reacher gives me like dad vibes in terms of the show, not Reacher himself. This is like a dad movie for sure. You take your dad to the movie, although he might fall asleep during the middle when they're just kind of like talking. Uh, it's a fun little jaunt. Now, unlike Sinners, this I didn't feel any real difference seeing it in like a movie theater rather than seeing it at home. Now, I'm sure that some people would like it more at the movies because you know what, sometimes going to the movies is fun, and it is like a big little, a big little spectacle. Um, but I didn't see any reason in terms of like the scope of his like stunts to need to see it in like IMAX or something like that. So if you want to wait for it, that's fine. If you just want to have you want to take your dad out somewhere and have him enjoy it, take him to Outback Steakhouse and then take him to the movies and let him enjoy his day. But this felt like a weaker Mission Impossible because I think because they had to like build off of the last one, and the entity being this like all-encompassing terror threat to the entire world didn't make sense. Well, not it didn't make sense, but it didn't feel right. It didn't feel very scary. And there was like a lot of like, again, like dad logic. Like they're going, if you destroy the entity, you'll destroy all of cyberspace. And I'm like, I don't know if that's how that works. I mean, they're just like physical servers. Like, couldn't you just make more, or like just, I don't know. I didn't see it as like this weird deletion of the internet that it didn't make sense. Like, why would it delete the internet? And another thing, you can't be in that cold of water. I'm not gonna go any further. No, I refuse. No, no, no. Also, I wasn't under the in like so there's a submarine part, and I thought that if you use sonar when someone is in the water, they like explode. Like they're like it will kill them. So there was a point where I was like, wouldn't they just be using sonar like the whole time? I don't know, but and this is something I get made fun of all the time. I did not suspend my disbelief enough, and it kind of took me out of the movie. Haley Atwell as Grace is nice in the movie, but like at some point she does some things where I'm like, is she like have they trained her? Like where I thought she was just like a sneaky thief, which would have if you play up these little aspects, it's great. But then sometimes they just let her do kung fu fighting, and I'm like, I guess. I mean, sure. I liked it better in Dead Reckoning because there was like a real feel, like she kind of just does like a foot stomp and like maybe like a knee to the nuts, but otherwise she's not really doing much more than that. This one they give her like, hey, do kung fu, chop him in the neck, and then do a spinning kick, and then did this and it just didn't look right. And they did some weird stuff, like they did that thing where like the it's like a comedy bit where she was like looking at Tom Cruise fighting a bunch of people, and she was and it didn't show what Tom Cruise was doing. You just heard it, and then she'd be like, "Oh, oh, oh," and then she'd be looking around and stuff. It took me out of it because I was like, "That's not what this is about. This is a dad movie. Show those guys get beaten up." I didn't mind this movie. Felt a little long, so if you do want to wait for it to come home, that's totally fine. But it did feel weird. Like I didn't feel very connected to the bad guys or even really the good guys. I mean, they added the woman from the last one. Her name was Paris in the last one. She is the French Asian woman. Um, and then they added the guy from Mission Impossible 1. So if you remember that one, when they break into the vault with the hanging scene and they leave the knife, um, that guy who is like sitting in the thing, he is sent to Siberia. It's like I think it's just like an offhand comment as like a joke, but this they bring it back. He has been living in the Siberian listening station for 30 years, and he's met a very lovely um, wife from the area. I guess I don't know how that works, but I guess an Inuit woman knocked on his door one day and said, "Hey, let's be husband and wife." But she was actually the funniest part of the whole movie. She's like helping Ailey out, like, "Hey, shoot that polar bear," but she can't speak to her, so she's just like, "Rah, watch out for the polar bear." And so I thought that was funny, but him being in it was kind of weird. But I was like, okay, sure, why not? Let him have his moment. And back in, I don't know if he's ever acted again after Mission Impossible 1, but it was an interesting little thing, but that was like the extent of who we're bringing in. You know what I mean? I could have lived without the like other people in terms of who we were to care about. I was concerned about if this movie is like polished off with some AI that now that is kind of getting a little bit more steam underneath it. Um, Especially Gabriel, the bad guy. His mouth sometimes, the way he talked and the way they dubbed him over, I was questioning. I'm like, is this AI? Did they just be like, hey? Because I think this was shot kind of like in a weird time, like maybe during the writer strike or maybe even at the end of COVID or something. It looked off to me, and I could just be wrong. But I was wondering sometimes, and it was really only in his. There was a couple times with the FBI agents too, but or the government agents, whatever they were. That I was like, is that like AI mouth? Like I can't tell. Like that doesn't look like the way that guy speaks. Like I don't know if he opens his mouth that big. So, but then is that the world we live in where we have to question that? And so, that's probably just my own. Again, not suspending disbelief enough. So that's my personal cross that I have to bear of being too just gosh darn realistic with this, which you can't. This is just such an unrealistic. All the movies are really unrealistic, but I guess what disappoints me is that my idea of realism is you are challenged with what could be real, because Tom is out there jumping off shit and holding his breath for 10 minutes and holding on to the side of a plane and stuff. Like, I mean, he makes it look good, although his sprinting was challenged by young Gabriel, although Tom does better, so don't worry about that. If you want to see Tom sprint, come see this movie. You'll enjoy it. If you want a very, very good Mission Impossible, go back to one of the old ones. I like Ghost Protocol a lot, actually. And Fallout, or not Fallout, the Dead Reckoning is a fun little movie. Like, and I enjoyed that one more than I enjoyed this one. And they did the title card too many times. They said Final Reckoning one too many times, and so that annoyed me. But it's not a terrible movie. Take your dad to it, enjoy it, fall asleep during it. Tom would appreciate it, and again, another moment where I was like, "Oh." In the other ones, I felt like Tom was kind of being realistic, where he's like, "Oh, thanks for coming to see the movie. I really appreciate it." This one, you can see him reading what he's saying, and maybe he was just a good actor before, but this one, he was just like, just who gives a fuck? Let's finish this damn thing. So, take that. See the movie if you want. Give it like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I don't like to do numbers, like I said, but this one is just like above average. Not terrible, but above average. So take a peek at it, see if you like it. If not, I'm sorry.